On August 1st, 2025, President Donald Trump made a rare move. He publicly announced that 2 American nuclear submarines were heading toward Russian waters. It was a warning and a reminder. When a nuclear submarine leaves port for war, the world rarely knows. No flashing lights, no roaring engines. Just a silent shadow slipping beneath the waves, vanishing into the deep. Their greatest weapon isn't just their missiles. It's the uncertainty they create. You don't know where they are. You don't know what they're aiming at. And that's the whole point. A ballistic missile submarine is one of the most elusive weapon platforms ever created. It moves silently beneath thousands of square miles of ocean, invisible to satellites, radar, and most sonar. Somewhere out there, in the cold, cold dark, it waits, patient, unseen, and ready. These aren't routine patrol boats. Each one is a floating fortress, carrying enough firepower to change the course of history in minutes. The moment a nuclear sub is deployed, the stakes shift. Allies feel reassured, enemies feel the pressure, and the rest of the world holds its breath. What makes this so dangerous is that these vessels don't need to be close to strike. Their ballistic missiles can travel more than 7,000 kilometers. They can hit a target on the other side of the planet without ever leaving deep water. One launch, and the world changes forever. That's why they're called second strike weapons. If an enemy manages to destroy a country's land-based missile silos or airfields, these submarines survive, hidden under the waves, and strike back. It's the ultimate insurance policy against a nuclear attack. But sending one on a mission isn't just about deterrence. It's about signaling. In military terms, the simple act of moving a nuclear submarine can alter the balance of power in a crisis. It's a chess move in a global game where one wrong calculation could trigger disaster. The deployment is a carefully planned operation. The crew is hand-picked from the Navy's elite. Every sailor aboard has passed rigorous background checks, psychological screening, and months of training. They know their mission, but rarely the full scope. Supplies are loaded for months at sea. Food, medical equipment, spare parts, classified maintenance kits for the ship's most secret systems. The missile tubes are checked and double-checked. Guidance systems are updated. Encryption keys for secure communications are refreshed. Once everything is ready, the order comes down. The massive submarine slips away from the pier, often under the cover of night. Tugboats guide her out into open water. Then, with a deep, slow dive, she disappears beneath the surface. From that moment on, she becomes a ghost, her position known only to a handful of people in the Navy's highest command. She could be off the coast of Alaska, under the Arctic ice, or in the vast emptiness of the Pacific. No one outside the crew knows for sure. And that's the beauty and the terror of it all. A nuclear submarine doesn't have to fire a single shot to have an impact. Its very presence, somewhere out there in the deep, changes the decisions of generals, presidents, and war planners. They're not built for show. They're built to end wars before they start. But if they're ever called into action, the results could be unlike anything the world has ever seen. Now, let's step inside to see why these silent giants are the most powerful war machines ever built. Step inside the missile compartment of an American Ohio-class submarine and you're standing in one of the deadliest rooms on the planet. Steel launch tubes stretch from floor to ceiling, each one holding a missile taller than a 4-story building. Every tube is sealed, pressurized, and ready to deliver a payload that can end civilizations. The heart of this firepower is the Trident II D5 ballistic missile. It's not just big, it's a masterpiece of precision engineering. Standing over 44 feet tall and weighing nearly 60 tons, it launches from beneath the ocean's surface, bursts through the water, and arcs high above the Earth's atmosphere before releasing its deadly cargo. One missile can strike a cluster of cities, air bases, or missile silos, each warhead arriving within seconds of the others. A single Ohio-class submarine can carry up to 24 Trident missiles. Each missile can hold as many as 8 warheads. That's nearly 200 nuclear warheads per boat, each with a destructive yield many times greater than the bomb dropped on Hiroshima. And there's more than one submarine on patrol at any given time. The range is staggering, over 7,400 kilometers. The submarine can stay hidden in friendly waters thousands of miles away and still reach deep into enemy territory. Accuracy matters just as much as power. Modern Trident II missiles can hit within tens of meters of their target after traveling across an ocean. That means that they can take out hardened missile silos, command bunkers, or critical infrastructure with surgical precision, even with conventional warheads if needed. But the missile bay isn't the only weapon space on board. In the forward compartment, behind heavy watertight doors, lie the torpedo tubes. Here, the weapon of choice is the Mk-48 Advanced Capability or ADCAP torpedo. Sleek, fast, and deadly, it's designed to hunt and destroy anything in the water, from enemy submarines to massive surface ships. These aren't the slow, straight-line torpedoes of old war movies. The Mk-48 can sprint more than 55 knots, dive to extreme depths, and home in on its target using a combination of active and passive sonar. The moment it locks in, it's relentless. The torpedo doesn't just punch a hole in the hull, it detonates beneath the ship, creating a massive gas bubble that lifts the vessel out of the water before slamming it back down. The hull snaps under the stress. The ship breaks apart. In seconds, a billion-dollar warship can be gone. And the submarine's weapons don't stop there. The modern U.S. ballistic missile subs have been tested with conventional strike options, meaning that they could fire precision-guided cruise missiles instead of nuclear payloads if the mission called for it. This makes them flexible tools in both nuclear and conventional warfare. Then, there's the defensive side. A nuclear submarine's best weapon is stealth, but it's not defenseless if detected. Torpedoes can be fired in self-defense. Countermeasure launchers can release noise-making decoys to confuse incoming weapons. The boat can dive deep, change course silently, and vanish again into the cold, dark water. Every weapon system is tied into a combat control center, a windowless nerve center deep inside the pressure hull. Here, sonar operators listen for distant contacts. Fire control technicians plot firing solutions down to fractions of a second. Missile specialists monitor the health of every warhead and launch tube. The moment an order comes through, everything can be made ready in minutes. It's important to understand that these weapons aren't there to be fired casually. Their purpose is deterrence. The mere fact that they exist, ready, hidden, and capable, forces potential adversaries to think twice before making a move. That's why their power isn't measured in just kilotons or range, it's measured in the silence they enforce. Yet, if the order comes, the process is brutal in its speed. For missiles, the captain verifies the launch order using multiple secure authentication steps. Keys are turned, safeties released, and launch tubes flooded. Gas generators blast the missile out of the tube and into the sea, where its rocket motor ignites above the surface, and in minutes, warheads are on their way to their targets. The scale of this firepower is why The submarine is called the apex predator of the ocean. It can hunt anything, strike anywhere, and survive almost any attack, all while staying invisible. No surface ship can match its reach, no land base can hide from its missiles, no enemy sub can hunt it without risking being hunted in return. It's a paradox of power. The submarine is at its most dangerous when it's doing nothing at all. Just being out there, somewhere, changes the decision made in war rooms thousands of miles away. That's why, when the Navy moves one of these boats in response to a crisis, it's never just a military move, it's a strategic message carved in steel. And this is only half the story. The weapons may be terrifying, but they're useless without the human element. The crew that keeps them armed, hidden, and ready. From the captain in the control room to the youngest sailor loading stores, every person aboard is part of the machine. Next, we'll step into that world to see what it takes to prepare one of these giants for war and the secret choreography behind a submarine's departure into the deep. Inside a ballistic missile submarine, the outside world doesn't matter here. Every wall, every hatch, every narrow passage is part of a sealed, pressurized fortress built to survive the crushing pressures of the deep. The crew moves through dimly lit corridors lined with pipes, cables, and heavy steel doors. Every inch of space is used. Overhead, the hum of the nuclear reactor is constant, a low, steady vibration you can feel in your bones. It powers everything: propulsion, life support, weapons, even the very air the crew breathes. This is a world designed for stealth. The submarine's outer hull is coated with sound-absorbing tiles to scatter enemy sonar. Its machinery is mounted on special dampers to muffle vibrations. Even the propeller, or in some cases, advanced pump jet systems, is engineered to move thousands of tons of steel with barely a whisper. Every movement at sea is calculated to avoid detection. The submarine may hug the thermocline, a layer of water where temperature changes sharply to hide from sonar. It can drift silently for hours, engines at idle, moving only with deep ocean currents. Even changing course or depth is done gently, avoiding sudden noise spikes that could betray its position. At the heart of this stealth is the sonar room. It's dark, quiet, and lined with glowing screens. Operators wear headphones, listening for the faintest of sounds: a distant merchant ship, a whale call, the barely audible hum of another submarine. They know the acoustic signature of almost every vessel in the world, from enemy attack subs to Allied patrol craft. One wrong identification could give away the boat's position or lead to a dangerous confrontation. When a contact is detected, it's passed to the control room, the sub's brain. Here, the commanding officer and officers of the deck manage everything from navigation to weapons readiness. Large digital charts track the sub's position. Tactical displays show every known contact. And when orders come down from higher command, this is where they're executed. Navigation is a science all its own. Unlike surface ships, a submarine can't rely on a GPS signal while submerged. Instead, it uses inertial navigation systems, high-precision gyroscopes, and accelerometers, combined with occasional updates from towed antennas or periscopes when the conditions are safe. The sub always knows where it is, but the rest of the world rarely does. The reactor compartment is strictly off-limits to most of the crew. Here, a nuclear reactor the size of a small bus generates virtually unlimited power. It can run for decades without refueling, producing both electricity and fresh water from seawater. The submarine's endurance isn't limited by fuel. It's only limited by how long the crew can stay out. Life support is equally as critical. Carbon dioxide scrubbers keep the air breathable. Oxygen generators split water molecules to supply fresh oxygen. The temperature is controlled throughout the boat, keeping electronics and crew comfortable, even at extreme depths. Further aft lies the torpedo room. It's smaller than you might expect, with racks of heavyweight torpedoes and countermeasure devices stacked against the bulkheads. Here, weapons specialists maintain and prepare the sub's close-range defenses. Unlike the massive missile tubes in the center of the boat, the torpedo tubes are versatile, capable of launching weapons, unmanned underwater vehicles, or decoys designed to fool enemy sonar and incoming torpedoes. Above all, the submarine's stealth is its shield. Detection is rare, but if it happens, the crew shifts instantly into evasive mode. The secrecy is total. Even among the crew, few know the sub's exact mission profile. They know their patrol areas, their orders for self-defense, and the rules of engagement. But the bigger picture? Well, that's held tightly by the captain and the senior officers. From the outside, a ballistic missile submarine looks like nothing more than a massive black shape cutting through the water. But inside, it's an ecosystem. Part warship, part machine, part home. Every system is built for one purpose: to keep the boat invisible, untouchable, and ready to unleash weapons if the unthinkable happens. Once it leaves port, the submarine enters a new reality, one where silence is survival, and every sound could mean danger. For months, the crew will operate in this hidden world, unseen by friend or foe. And when they return to port, the mission's true story may never be told. Next, we'll follow the most critical stage of any submarine mission: preparing for war. From crew selection to loading missiles to that final dive beneath the surface, this is where the nuclear submarine's journey truly begins. A submarine on a strategic mission needs the best. Crew members are drawn from the Navy's most experienced pool. Sailors who have already proven that they can handle the pressure of months underwater. This isn't just about technical skill, it's about mental endurance. A nuclear submarine can stay at sea for months, but the crew still needs to eat, work, and live. Before departure, supply teams swarm the dock, moving crates, barrels, and containers into the narrow hatches. Food is a major concern. Every available space is packed. Bulkheads lined with canned goods, freezers filled with meat and vegetables, bins loaded with pasta and rice. In the first few weeks of a patrol, the fresh produce is eaten first. After that, it's frozen, canned, and dried rations. Medical supplies are loaded next. There's no hospital at sea, so the submarine carries everything from surgical kits to antibiotics. The ship's medical officer is trained to handle emergencies, whether it's a broken bone, a deep-sea diving injury, or even surgery in the cramped medical bay. Maintenance parts take up a huge amount of space. A broken pump, a faulty valve, or a malfunctioning sonar system can cripple the mission if it can't be fixed immediately. Spare parts for every major system are carefully stored, labeled, and secured. Even morale items are loaded. Books, movies, board games, sometimes even small musical instruments. Life underwater is hard. Little comforts can make the difference between a tired crew and a sharp, ready one. While supplies are loaded quietly, weapons preparations is anything but casual. The submarine moves into a secure facility, heavily guarded, access restricted to a small number of authorized personnel. Missile loading is a delicate, dangerous process. Each Trident II D5 is lifted by a specialized crane and lowered into its launch tube with millimeter precision. Technicians check the missile systems, guidance computers, propulsion stages, warhead safeties. Everything is logged, inspected, and re-inspected. Then come the torpedoes. Mk-48 ad-cap torpedoes are rolled into the forward compartment, each one checked for propulsion, steering, and warhead integrity. Torpedoes are loaded into tubes and ready racks, balanced for quick firing if needed. Once all weapons are aboard, the fire control team runs through simulated launches. Missiles are fired in computer drills to verify targeting data can be received, processed, and executed without error. Torpedo crews run practice engagements against virtual targets. There's no room for mistakes here. In a real engagement, the sub might have seconds to respond. The drills continue until every sailor involved can operate on instinct alone. Nuclear subs operate under the strictest communication security in the military. Orders are transmitted via ultra-low frequency or ULF and extremely low frequency ELF radio signals that can penetrate seawater. Before departure, the submarine's communication suite is updated with new encryption keys. These keys ensure that messages received, especially launch orders, are authentic and cannot be faked. The process is physical as well as digital. Classified codes are loaded from secure devices under armed guard. Satellite antennas are checked and tested for when the sub surfaces to periscope depth for higher bandwidth communication. Secure burst transmissions allow the sub to send and receive data in seconds before disappearing again. Every message is logged, every system is double-checked, because in a crisis, a delay of even a few seconds could mean the difference between deterrence and disaster. With crew aboard, supplies loaded, and weapons ready, the submarine prepares to leave port. Often, departure is timed for low visibility, night, fog, or bad weather. Tugboats guide the sub through the harbor. On deck, armed sailors stand watch. Below, the reactor hums steadily. The captain gives the order, dive the boat. Ballast tanks flood, and the sub slowly sinks beneath the waves. In minutes, the surface world disappears. Lights dim, and the crew shifts to patrol mode. The first task is to vanish. The sub takes a deep dive, adjusting speed and depth to blend into the natural noise of the ocean. Machinery is run at low power, loose gear is secured, every action is aimed at reducing the sub's acoustic signature. From this point on, the mission is silent. The submarine could be heading for the open Atlantic, the icy Arctic, or the vast Pacific. Only the captain and a few senior officers know for sure. The rest of the world won't see her again until the patrol ends, if they see her at all. From here, the boat slips into the shadows of the ocean. The crew settles into the rhythm of life underwater. A rhythm that will carry them through months of silent watch, always ready for the call that everyone hopes never comes. Next, we'll step into that hidden life to see what it's really like to live and work inside a nuclear submarine during a war-ready patrol. Life aboard a nuclear submarine is unlike anywhere else on Earth. Once the boat slips beneath the surface, the crew enters a sealed world. No sunlight, no fresh air, no open horizon. Time blurs. Days are measured not by the sun, but by the watch schedule. The crew works in rotating shifts, usually 6 hours on duty, 12 hours off. That means that the boat never sleeps. While one section stands watch, manning sonar, navigation, engineering, and weapons, another is grabbing a quick meal, exercising, or trying to rest. In this rhythm, Monday looks exactly like Thursday, looks exactly like Saturday, and 2 months can pass without feeling the difference. Sleeping quarters are tight. Most sailors share small cabins or bunks stacked 3 high, with barely enough room to sit up. Storage space is minimal. A small locker for personal items, a shelf for a few books, and maybe a family photo taped to the wall. Privacy is almost non-existent. Even officers have only slightly more space, often sharing their cabins with another officer. Meals are served in the mess deck, the heart of the crew's social life. Food quality matters. It's one of the few morale boosters that can be controlled at sea. In the first few weeks, there's fresh fruit, vegetables, and baked bread. As the patrol stretches on, the menu shifts to frozen and canned goods. Still, the Navy trains cooks to keep meals varied and satisfying. A good meal can make a long day feel a little shorter. Exercise is also essential. In a steel tube hundreds of feet below the surface, movement is limited. A small gym area might have a stationary bike, treadmill, and a few free weights. Even 20 minutes of exercise helps fight fatigue, maintains health, and helps to keep up morale. The engineering spaces are a constant source of background activity. Here, watchstanders monitor the nuclear reactor, propulsion systems, and life support equipment. Temperatures can be warm, machinery loud, but every gauge and dial matters. A malfunction here could threaten the entire mission. Up forward, the control room is quiet but intense. Sonar operators listen for the faintest hint of a contact, the distant thrum of a merchant ship, the sharper, more dangerous tone of another submarine. Navigation teams track the boat's position without GPS, updating charts and ensuring that the sub stays within its assigned patrol area. Weapons crews run routine maintenance on torpedoes and missile systems. Even though firing is unlikely, every system must be ready at a moment's notice. The order to launch could come without warning, and there's no time for repairs once the command is given. Communication with the outside world is rare. The sub receives messages from higher command, often in short bursts using encrypted signals. Personal messages to the crew are filtered through a secure system and may take days or even weeks to arrive. Outgoing messages from sailors are limited, often just a short note to let loved ones know that they're safe. The psychological challenge is real. Isolation wears on even the most seasoned sailors. There are no news updates, no internet, no calls home. You live in a self-contained bubble, relying entirely on the crew around you. That's why teamwork isn't just encouraged, it's survival. Disagreements are kept in check, problems are addressed quickly. Morale is maintained through small traditions. Movie nights in the mess deck, card games during off-watch hours, celebrating birthdays with a cake baked in a tiny galley oven. Even a simple email from home can lift spirits for days. The medical officer keeps a close eye on physical and mental health. Illness spreads quickly in such close quarters, so hygiene is strict. Every surface is cleaned regularly, and sick crew members are isolated when possible. Mental health is harder to measure, but officers watch for signs of stress, fatigue, or homesickness. As the weeks stretch into months, the mission becomes routine, but the tension never truly fades. Everyone knows that at any moment, the quiet can end with a single order. And that order could change history. When the submarine finally surfaces at the end of a patrol, it's almost a shock. The sudden flood of sunlight through the periscope, the smell of fresh air after months of recycled atmosphere. The crew emerges pale, leaner, and with an unspoken bond forged by shared isolation. Life on board during a mission is not glamorous. It's demanding, repetitive, and often exhausting. But for the crew of a ballistic missile submarine, it's also a matter of pride. They know that their silent presence beneath the waves may have prevented a war. And that is the paradox of their job. The more uneventful their patrol, the more successful it has been. Next, we'll look at why these missions matter so much, the strategic role of nuclear submarines in global power, and how their movement can change the course of an international crisis. A nuclear submarine is more than a warship. It's a statement. Its presence, or even the hint of its presence, can shift the balance of power between nations without a single shot being fired. At its core, the role of a ballistic missile submarine is deterrence. The logic is simple. If your enemy knows that you can strike back after even the most devastating attack, they're less likely to attack in the first place. These submarines are the embodiment of that logic. Unlike land-based missile silos, which can be mapped and targeted, a submarine's location is a mystery. Hidden under thousands of miles of ocean, it's almost impossible to track continuously. And because of that, adversaries must assume that it's always within range, always ready. This invisibility is what makes them so politically powerful. When a government decides to move a ballistic missile submarine closer to a potential adversary, it sends a clear message. We are paying attention. We are ready to respond. It's a form of silent diplomacy, one that speaks through steel and stealth rather than speeches. And the effects ripple outward. Allies often feel reassured, knowing that somewhere nearby, a hidden guardian is on patrol. For rivals, it forces a re-evaluation of their own plans. Even a country preparing a conventional military move must now consider the risk of triggering a nuclear response. In peacetime, these submarines remain on continuous patrol, always at least one in the Atlantic, one in the Pacific. This ensures that there's never a moment when the deterrent isn't in place. But when tensions rise, patrol areas can shift, and boats can be positioned to respond more quickly. That's when the message changes from quiet reassurance to a visible warning. Sometimes that warning is intentional and public, as with President Trump's August announcement. More often, it's silent. The sub leaves port without fanfare. Intelligence analysts on the other side notice, and they know exactly what it means. History has shown us that movements can diffuse or escalate a crisis. During the Cold War, both the US and Soviet Union used submarine deployments as a way to demonstrate resolve. In most cases, the message was received. But there were also moments where it nearly led to disaster, when a routine patrol was mistaken for a pre-attack move. That's the danger of this kind of signaling. While it's meant to deter, it can also be misread. A rival might see it as a provocation rather than a precaution. That's why commanders and political leaders weigh every submarine movement carefully. It's a balancing act between showing strength and avoiding escalation. Strategically, nuclear submarines also complicate any first strike calculation. Even if an enemy can somehow destroy all of a country's land-based missiles and bombers, the subs would still be out there. They could retaliate with overwhelming force. This is why strategists call them the survivable leg of a nuclear triad, the part that cannot be eliminated in a single blow. But deterrence isn't the only role they play. In modern conflicts, ballistic missile submarines can also gather intelligence, shadow enemy ships, or provide targeting data for other forces. Their advanced sonar and communication systems make them valuable eyes and ears beneath the sea. They're also increasingly seen as political tools. The decision to move a sub closer during a crisis is rarely about preparing for actual combat. It's about changing the calculus in the opponent's mind. Make them think twice. Make them hesitate. That hesitation can prevent a war. And while these boats are built for nuclear deterrence, their very existence shapes how nations deal with each other in peacetime. Diplomats can negotiate from a position of confidence, knowing the ultimate deterrent is on station. Military planners can factor in the silent coverage the sub provides. Adversaries must always operate with the shadow of that unknown threat in mind. That's the real strategic significance of these giants. They influence events without ever firing a weapon. They're as much a part of international politics as they are of the military. And in the delicate, dangerous balance of global power, they are a constant, unseen, but always present. When they do move into a crisis zone, the implications are immediate. It can be a reassurance, it can be intimidation, and sometimes it's both at the same time. The key is that everyone knows what's at stake, even if no one can see the boat itself. And yet, for all their power, the hope is that their missiles will never leave their tubes, that their torpedoes will never leave their racks, that they'll complete their patrol in silence, turn for home, and slip back into port without anyone outside the Navy ever knowing where they've been. Because in the end, the most successful mission for a nuclear sub is the one where nothing happens, where the balance is kept, the crisis passes, and the silent giants remain just that, silent. Next, we'll close our journey into the deep, summing up why these submarines remain the most fearsome, most reliable guardians of national security, and what their future might mean for the world. Somewhere beneath the waves, a submarine glides through the black. The low hum of the reactor vibrates through the steel hull. Water rushes silently along her flanks. Inside, the crew moves with practiced precision. Their world reduced to glowing screens, quiet corridors, and the constant awareness that they carry the most destructive weapons ever built. Above them, nations posture, maneuver, and threaten. Down here, nothing changes. No speeches, no headlines, just readiness. Always readiness. A ballistic missile submarine is humanity's ultimate paradox. It is the closest thing that we have to a doomsday switch. And yet, it's also one of the strongest tools for keeping that switch from ever being pressed. Its silent presence whispers a single word into the mind of any potential aggressor. Don't. Some people think of them as relics of the Cold War, and they're wrong. The cat and mouse game beneath the ocean has only grown sharper. Detection improves, so stealth improves. Missiles fly faster, so defenses adapt. And through it all, the submarine remains the one platform that can vanish, wait, and strike without warning. Whether deployed in total secrecy or announced with purpose, they carry the same unspoken message. We're here, we're watching, cross that line, and we will respond. That is the paradox of the nuclear submarine. Its power is not in what it does, but in what it could do. That possibility, unseen, patient, unstoppable, is what keeps it gliding silently through the deep, waiting for an order everyone hopes never comes. Because down here, there is no routine. Every patrol is a promise. Every dive into the black is a warning. And every silent hour beneath the waves is a reminder. The calm ocean surface can hide the most dangerous machine ever built by human hands. Thanks for watching. If this mission into the deep fascinated you as much as it did us, make sure to hit subscribe so you never miss the next operation. I want to hear from you. What do you think is the most important role of a nuclear submarine today? Deterrence, intelligence gathering, or something else entirely? Let me know in the comments. And if you respect the crews who serve in silence beneath the waves, drop a blue heart in the comments to show your support for every sailor standing the watch. Do you want to go even further? Join the fleet. You'll get loyalty badges, priority replies, and help us bring more real-time maritime stories to the surface. Click join on our channel page and get on board. Until next time, keep your head above water and your mind below the surface.